If you're feeling the pressure to get 10,000 steps in a day in order to be considered healthy, you are not alone. As a doctor and health and wellness content creator myself, I have been conflicted with this question for a long time. In this video, I'll be sharing whether 10,000 steps in a day is necessary in order to be considered a healthy person and what you can do as an alternative if getting in 10,000 steps a day is not actually possible for you, all with the goal in mind of improving your overall health. I will start by sharing the most widely accepted exercise recommendation, which is 150 minutes of moderate to intense physical activity per week for adults. This includes both aerobic and strength training, but only about 24% of adults in the US actually meet this requirement for physical activity. So do we really need to take 10,000 steps in a day? Some studies support the evidence that 10,000 steps a day is correlated to weight loss, better control of blood pressure, and blood lipid levels. So yes, it is unequivocally beneficial to take 10,000 steps in a day. But I need to be the devil's advocate here because I'm not about making blanket statements on health recommendations. It is so easy to tell my patients it is expected that you take 10,000 steps a day, but it's unrealistic to actually expect that from every individual for many reasons. First off, because office-based workers spend about 73% of their day sitting. That means sedentary. And whether you work in an office or not, most careers don't have you moving all day long. Sometimes I wish I was a gym teacher or a professor for just that reason. But even as a physician, I'm spending most of my day sitting and speaking with my patients, maybe getting up to examine them, but my average day looks like 4,000 to 6,000 steps, nowhere near 10,000 steps. I also live in Canada where the climate is not ideal to take steps all winter long. And as much as I'd like to go outside for a walk every single day of the year, the climate, time restriction, and having young children does just not allow for that. What else might be a barrier? The fact that 1 in 5 Canadians actually live with a disability, whether that be physical or mental disability. These things may relate to their pain, to their flexibility, to their mobility, all those contributing to the fact that they cannot get in 10,000 steps a day. The third limiting factor for many people is obesity. 30 to 40% of Canadian and US adults are classified as obese. And people who are obese tend to have a lot more difficulty mobilizing for various reasons, whether that be pain or other. We also need to consider that we do not all have the same 24 hours in a day. Consider a new mom breastfeeding every 2 hours versus a soccer coach who is coaching a game 5 times a day. They are obviously not going to be prioritizing daily step intake the same way. I want to highlight that physical inactivity and being sedentary independently contribute to our increased risk of morbidity and mortality, meaning a sedentary lifestyle will lead you to sickness much sooner than someone who lives an active life. So I absolutely encourage movement and a healthy lifestyle for everyone, but that doesn't look the same to everyone. Despite whether you work an office job 9 to 5 and sit 8 hours a day or not, there are absolutely ways of improving your health without necessarily focusing on getting 10,000 steps in a day. And the benefits may be just as much as getting those 10K steps in a day. Moving your body any way possible will be associated to a host of other benefits, be it your mobility, your flexibility, your endurance. So here are some alternative goals that you can focus on rather than the 10K steps if you want to improve your health. Number 1, I recently purchased this walking treadmill for days where I work at home. I also have a standing desk, which allows me to mobilize between sitting and standing, not moving and actually moving my legs. Do I aim for 10,000 steps? Not necessarily. Do I aim to move my body? Absolutely. Now, if you don't have a standing desk or you don't have the funds to allow you to buy a treadmill, that's just fine. What I do recommend is taking a break every 1 hour or so in order to do something like sit to stands, just like this, for a couple of minutes, or even doing 10 jumping jacks. That's gonna get your heart rate going, get a little sweat. Another thing I strongly recommend, if it's possible where you live, is taking your lunch break outside. Whether you have a 9 to 5 job or not, whether you work from home or not, getting outside is beneficial in 2 ways. One, it gets you moving slightly more than if you were just eating at your office or at your desk or at home in your kitchen. And 2, it gets you some vitamin D, it gets you the sunlight, which we all know the benefits to that. Get outside, 2 for 1. The other thing you might wanna try is consider joining a workout class or something that'll keep you accountable. Either doing a workout from home or going to a gym class physically. Fit whatever works for your life, but being committed to something will help you stay accountable. I want to mention that healthy behaviors such as getting adequate sleep, eating balanced meals, or even sufficient water intake could also contribute to health in a great way. And it doesn't necessarily focus on counting your steps. Eating balanced nutrition can also improve your blood lipid levels or your blood sugar or your blood pressure. We just have to do what is sustainable to us. I'd love to know what you thought of today's video and what else you'd like me to cover on this channel with regards to health and health-related behaviors. Remember that you are your greatest investment. Thank you for being here and don't forget to subscribe.